News, agriculture, and talk station.
Paul Skowron here, CEO of Warner Hospital. Spring allergies acting up? At Warner Hospital and Health Services, we offer fast treatment to help you breathe easier and feel better fast. Quality care right here, right now. Click on our icon on DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the Hart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. A 16-year-old juvenile is recovering in an area hospital following a late-night shooting in Clinton on Sunday. Clinton police officers were dispatched to the intersection of North Center Street and Woodlawn Street along U.S. Route 51. Just after 11:30 p.m. after receiving reports of shots fired. Upon arriving at the scene, emergency responders discovered the teenager suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. The victim was treated at the scene and transported by emergency medical services to a nearby hospital where the juvenile is currently reported to be in stable condition. Authorities emphasize that the shooting is believed to be an isolated incident, and investigators assured that there is no continuing threat to the general public. The Clinton Police Department is spearheading the ongoing investigation and is receiving active assistance from the DeWitt County Sheriff's Office and Illinois State Police Crime Scene Services. No further information is being released at this time. Last Thursday night, the DeWitt County Board voted not to pursue crafting ordinances for data centers in DeWitt County. DeWitt County Board Chair Joe Whitty says the unanimous vote against sending the issue to the Zoning Board of Appeals, or ZBA, was simply to signal that now is not the right time to move forward.
This was after giving the board plenty of time to kind of look into the issues, put our position out there publicly that yes, we hear the public. There's a lot of opposition. There's some folks that maybe embrace the opportunity, but I think those views are more silent. You don't hear that as often. And so we just had to consider everything. We have to consider the issues. You have to consider the things going on at the state and national level. And I think the message last night was this is not the right time. Not saying that we're going to take it up a year from now, but we just think that we need to slow down and just kind of there's no rush. And that's what the message was last night. I think there was unanimous decision to not start a text amendment, which would, if you recall, we did have the resolution a couple months ago basically stating that a data center is not an allowed use in DeWitt County today. So without an ordinance, it's effectively it's not allowed. It carries the same impact as, say, a moratorium.
Under current regulations, a text amendment or a new zoning ordinance can be initiated in one of three ways: by the county board, by an individual landowner submitting an application and fee, or by the Regional Planning Commission. Whitty stresses Thursday's vote strictly represented the board's position that it would not initiate the process itself.
Yeah, so we're talking about if the text amendment process, right? Initiating an ordinance change, or even in this case, it'd be a new ordinance that can start one of three ways. I think we discussed this last month, and it's the board can initiate that activity, which is what the motion was last night. Do we want to start that path? A landowner can start that process. They can submit a fee and put in a request or an application for the board to begin an ordinance, or our Regional Planning Commission, the body that is appointed by the board to look, to manage our ordinances and look at it, relative to our comprehensive plan, they can initiate it. So there's multiple avenues to getting a text amendment and an ordinance for data centers initiated. This is just the board's position. Now, should, if you're a data center developer, are you going to spend the time and money going down a path trying to get the county to adopt an ordinance that, there's not broad support at the full board level? That might be just throwing good money after bad, but but that is an avenue that could come up, and this is just kind of putting our position out there for one of those paths.
Sure.
According to Whitty, the county must tread carefully to differentiate between massive hyperscale data centers and the small-scale data setups already used by local businesses and county offices.
When this first came up at land, I think it was initially brought up as DeWitt County putting out a moratorium, and step back and think, well, we've got a nuclear facility, they have a lake, they've got plenty of land, which would address some of those issues that are most commonly stated out there. Would that be such a bad thing? And if so, if we put in a moratorium, that includes
your power plant.
So I think we had to kind of step back and look at it and say, what is really the best way forward for DeWitt County? We don't want to shut off, potential development that would, hinder Constellation maybe expanding and getting additional good jobs in the area, those types of things. You got to step back and look at the big picture. I don't know that, you can easily tailor an ordinance that would, allow it in one location like that. Those are the kinds of things that we're looking at. Do we really want to say no to all data centers everywhere in the county? And really what I think we're talking about is really just those hyperscale, right? There's data centers. People got a closet, we got one in the county building that you can call a data center. It's just not, from the not the hyperscale. Careful in how an ordinance would be structured. But yes, I think you're absolutely right. The state could come in. There's a lot of legislation pending out there.
There is also a belief that the state of Illinois, like with wind and solar, could impose its own regulations on local governments for data centers. While not yet in place, Whitty points out the conversation is not over in DeWitt County. It's summer reading club time at the Warner Library, and the kickoff event is this Saturday. Mel Snow and Emily Dunham indicate this year's program theme is Plant a Seed, Read. The library's core programming will focus heavily on conservation, local farming, and nature. Registration for the annual program kicks off this Saturday, and participants can track their progress across 3 distinct reading levels.
Yeah, so our theme this year is Plant a Seed, Read. And so we are leaning into a lot of conservation and local farming. And so look for a lot of that in our programming this year. So this year, when you sign up for summer reading, you will either be a butterfly, a bumblebee, or a bookworm. Those are the 3 levels in which you can choose. And there are 6 rows of 8 bubbles that you will fill out. At the end of each row, you come in for your tickets that go towards our grand prizes. And how you fill in each bubble depends on which insect you are.
Okay.
And so if you're a butterfly, it's, I believe, every 30 minutes you read, you fill in a circle. If you're a bumblebee, I believe it's an hour. If you're a bookworm, I believe it's a whole book. I might have those wrong, but learn more on May 30. You can pick your level. And then when you finish each row, you will come back into the library and collect ticket and something from our treasure box, which are wonderful little tchotchkes. Like we have squishies and fidget spinners and all kinds of fun things.
Sunglasses,
Okay.
Inflatable.
I bought some magic flames.
All
for
kinds
the
of fun
kids.
stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I bought a flint and a thing so you can make a fire.
But yeah, so maybe you decide you don't like anything in our treasure box. You can get 2 tickets, and the tickets are what you use to kind of, I've been saying gamble, which is maybe not the best word, but you put it in towards the prize that you want. We have these clear boxes, so you see how many people are putting in for your prize, and you can kind of decide. Maybe you put all your tickets in for the Nintendo Switch, or maybe you switch them up and put them in for other prizes.
We got some
Okay.
really fun prizes this year too.
Join the library for its annual Summer Reading Club kickoff event this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Hey, it's Shane from Highway 51 Exchange, your mower and equipment service pros just south of Clinton. Click our banner ad on DeWittDailyNews.com or give us a call to schedule your free pickup and delivery today. Highway 51 Exchange.
Longview Community Bank is now open in Clinton, investing in rural Illinois. I'm Vice President Nate Sams. Stop by for a visit or to find out how we provide real local banking. Click our banner ad at the top of the local news page on DeWittDailyNews.com.
Spring just has a way of putting a little more energy into everything. Brighter days, warmer air, and more reasons to get out and enjoy it. Your home should keep up with that. At Hickory Point Garden Homes, you'll have your own one-story duplex with bright open spaces, a private patio, and neighborhood walking paths just outside your door for that perfect stroll in the spring sunshine. You can spend less time managing your home and more time enjoying the warm spring days ahead. See what that feels like at Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth, Illinois, and step into comfortable living for $55 and better.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. In high school softball sectional semifinal matchups for today, in Class 1A, the top-seeded Meridian takes on 2-seeded Hayworth at Leroy at 4:30 p.m. And following that game, the top-seeded Leroy hosts the third seed Salt Fork at 6:30 p.m. In Class 2A, 1-seed Riverdale takes on 2-seeded Eureka at Brimfield at 4:30 p.m., while the top-seeded Marshall takes on the 6th-seeded Bloomington Central Catholic at Monticello at 5 p.m., and top-seeded Rochester takes on 2-seed Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin at Williamsville at 4:30 p.m. In Class 3A, top-seeded Chatham Glenwood plays third-seeded Marion at Centralia at 4:30, and the 1-seed Washington takes on 2-seeded Mount Zion at Lincoln at 4 p.m. In high school baseball regional quarterfinal scores from yesterday, the 7th-seeded Athens shut out 10-seed Decatur Unity 15-0. 8th-seeded Ridgeview routed the 9th-seeded Blue Ridge 16-1. 6th-seeded Kansas beat the 11th-seed Cerro Gordo 3-1, while the 7th-seeded Meridian shut out 10th-seed Heritage 10-0, and 8th-seeded Central A&M took down the 9th-seed Villa Grove 6-5. In Class 2A, 7th-seeded Bloomington Central Catholic beat the 10th-seeded Tri-City 10-1, while the 8th-seeded Canton took down the 9th-seeded El Paso Gridley 7-6. The 7th-seeded Champaign St. Thomas More beat 10th-seeded Georgetown Ridge Farm 1-0, while the 8th-seeded Marshall beat the 9th-seeded Sullivan 7-2. And the 8th-seed Paxton Buckley Loda fell to the 9th-seed Pontiac 3-2. Minnetonka Murakami homered. Anthony Kay pitched 6 sparkling innings, and the Chicago White Sox stopped Minnesota's 4-game win streak with a 3-1 victory over the Minnesota Twins on Monday.
The White Sox opened a 7-game homestand with a victory in front of a crowd of over 30,000 on Memorial Day. Munetaka Murakami brought the Sox back after briefly trailing in the first.
And the pitch by Matthews, and he hits a towering fly. Right field. It is out of here. The drought is over. It's 1-1.
Murakami's countryman, Riku Nishida, made his major league debut and thrilled the crowd with an Ichiro-esque assist from right field.
Here's the pitch. There's a base hit into right. Arcia around third. Here's the throw by Nishida to the plate. They've got a shot. He's going to be out. Wow.
Drew Romo put the Sox on top to stay with a 2-run shot in the bottom of the second. The Sox went on to win 3-1. Game 2 of 4 between the Sox and Twins Tuesday night. I'm Jeff Meller, and I'll have your pregame coverage starting at 6 o'clock on the ESPN 1000 Hard Rock Casino White Sox Network.
The White Sox play the second of their 4-game series with the Twins tonight on WHOW. Pregame starts at 6 p.m. Henry Davis hit a go-ahead solo home run in the 7th inning, and the Pittsburgh Pirates sent the Chicago Cubs to their 9th straight loss with a 2-1 victory on Monday. Davis turned on a 91-mile-per-hour cutter from Cubs reliever Trent Thornton, who is 2-1, and sent it well over the right field fence for his 4th home run of the season. Pittsburgh's bullpen made it stand up. Wilbur Dodal is 1-0 and tossed 3 scoreless innings in relief to pick up the victory. Gregory Soto worked a perfect 9th for his 6th save as the Pirates beat the Cubs for the 3rd time in 4 tries so far this year. Brandon Lowe had 2 hits for Pittsburgh, including an RBI double. Spencer Horwitz also had a pair of hits and a handful of excellent plays at first base, all of them against Cubs star Pete Crow Armstrong. Horwitz was perfectly positioned to snatch a couple of line drives and then made a brilliant diving grab on a sharp grounder before tossing to Dodo, covering first to rob Crow Armstrong of a hit. Michael Busch hit his 6th homer of the season for Chicago, but it wasn't enough to halt a funk that is nearing 3 weeks. Chicago's 9-game skid is the franchise's longest since a 10-game slide in 2022. The Cubs have dropped 13 of 15 overall and fall into the middle of the pack in the hyper-competitive NL Central, where all 5 teams started Memorial Day above 500. Cubs starter Ben Brown allowed 1 run and 4 hits over 6 innings with 2 walks and 7 strikeouts, whittling his ERA to 2.01. Pirates starter Carmen Mlodzinski fighting hard to stay in the rotation as Jared Jones nears his return from elbow surgery, allowed 1 run over 5 innings and 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. The series continues on Tuesday. Braxton Ashcraft is 3-2 with a 2.89 ERA and starts for the Pirates. Jacob Misarowski matched a career high with 12 strikeouts and carried a no-hitter into the 6th inning as the Milwaukee Brewers defeated the St. Louis Cardinals 5-1 on Monday. Christian Yelich hit a 2-run homer, and Andrew Vaughn went 3 for 4 as the Brewers extended their NL Central lead over St. Louis to 2.5 games. Misarowski is 5-2 and threw 57 pitches of at least 100 miles per hour, which represented the most in a single game since pitch tracking began in 2008. The previous record for 100-mile-per-hour pitches in a single game was 47 by Cincinnati's Hunter Green against St. Louis on September 17, 2022. He reached a top velocity of 103.4 miles per hour while allowing 1 run, 2 hits, and 1 walk in 7 innings. His ERA improved to 1.83. Misarowski started the game by walking J.J. Weatherholt, but the Cardinals wouldn't get another runner on base until Pedro Pajes hit a bloop single to lead off the 6th. The Cardinals got a run later in the 6th to end Misarowski's streak of consecutive scoreless innings at 29 1/3. Teddy Higuera owns the Brewers' record with 32 straight scoreless innings in 1987. Milwaukee took the lead for good by scoring 3 runs in the 1st inning off Matthew Liberatore, who entered the day with a 1.26 ERA in 4 career starts against the Brewers. Jackson Churio drew a leadoff walk, stole second, and scored on a single to left by William Contreras. Yelich followed that by sending a 2-2 pitch over the wall in left center, an opposite field shot that traveled 381 feet. The Brewers wouldn't do any more damage against Liberatore, who falls to 2-3, who had a career-high 10 strikeouts in 5 innings. Milwaukee added single runs in the 7th and 8th inning against Bryson Moutz, who was making his major league debut. Garrett Mitchell had an RBI single in the 6th, and Vaughn doubled home a run in the 7th. Michael McGreevy is 3-3 with a 2.4 ERA and starts for the Cardinals, and Kyle Harrison, who is 5-1 with a 1.77 ERA, pitches for the Brewers on Tuesday night. In MLB Memorial Day scores, the Baltimore Orioles beat the Tampa Bay Rays 9-7 in a 13-inning thriller. The New York Yankees beat the Kansas City Royals 4-3. The Cincinnati Reds took down the New York Mets 7-2. while the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the San Francisco Giants 6-2. The Washington Nationals routed the Cleveland Guardians 10-2, while the Philadelphia Phillies shut out the San Diego Padres 3-0, and the Houston Astros shut out the Texas Rangers 9-0. The Miami Marlins beat the Toronto Blue Jays 8-2, while the LA Dodgers took down the Colorado Rockies 5-3, and the Seattle Mariners beat the Athletics 9-2. In NBA postseason scores from yesterday, the third-seeded New York Knicks routed the fourth-seeded Cleveland Cavaliers 130-93, while in the NHL, the Carolina Hurricanes beat the Montreal Canadiens 3-2 in overtime. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
ServPro Team McGuire is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of severe weather coverage across all WHOW platforms, AM, FM, and streaming online, as well as on WEZC, your easy choice for soft hits at 95.9 FM. Whether it's wind, rain, or even snow, you'll stay informed with severe weather updates around the clock. When severe weather strikes, we break in anytime to bring you the critical information you need to keep your family safe. Brought to you exclusively by ServPro Team McGuire, your local fire, storm, and water restoration experts.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need.